Welcome to another Top of the Table interview. Join us as we hear stories and advice from MDRT Top of the Table qualifiers. Hi, I'm Sandy Schussel, and this is Top of the Table, where we talk with MDRT Top of the Table qualifiers to learn what it takes to jump your production from the basic qualifying level to the very top of our industry. My guest today is Douglas Eze, the founder of Largo Financial Services, which has grown from one office in Maryland near Washington, D.C. to 3 offices and more than 100 writing agents. Douglas founded Largo almost 20 years ago and focuses his practice on business owners. He's made himself an expert on generational wealth and has published a book called Creating Generational Wealth, available both on the Largo Financial Services website and on Amazon.com for any of you who are interested. Welcome, Douglas.
Yes. How you doing, Sandy? How you doing?
I'm doing great, and it's great to be talking with you today. Can I just start with some basic things like how did you get into the financial and insurance industry?
As you can see, with my African attire, I'm from West Africa, Nigeria, and I left Africa when I was 18 years old, and I moved to Canada first. But I knew America was the final bus stop, so I came here. At age 22, 23, I think. But I got into the financial service industry at age 24. I was a waiter. I was waiting table at IHOP when someone gave me their business card. And I went for the business opportunity. I looked at it. It made sense. It was better opportunity than waiting table at IHOP. And I felt special because the lady gave me her card. I'm like, wow, out of everyone here, she gave me her business card. And then she said, well, I actually I've given my business cards to a lot of people. I'm actually surprised that you called. So I'm like, oh, I thought I was special, man. But yeah, I liked what I saw about the business. Back then, that particular company, they would do what they call deposit term, where they tied term insurance and annuities together. They talk to people about college funding for their kids. Kind of funny, a concept, and they go out and they just put this very expensive life insurance way to buy life insurance. But so I got into that world, worked with that company for a while. But I always have questions about the business, especially about wealthy families. What are they doing differently from everyone else? So I went ahead and got all my licenses, securities license, that you need in this business. But the main question for me was wealthy families. Why is one family able to control all this empire from one generation to the next? I come from Africa where we have a lot of wealthy people, but when they die, the wealth doesn't last that long. In my, one generation, and it's gone. So I started researching wealthy families, and I realized quickly there's a system that they use, and life insurance is a big part of that system. So I got into the business, and then in 1999/2000, I formed my company, Largo Financial Services.
When you started, Douglas, what were you thinking in terms of being a one-man shop? When did that change?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. So when I left the company that did that deposit term, actually, the lady that recruited me we left together and went to another guy that was very good in the business. He used to work for another company, and he set up his own firm, but he was in the recruiting and recruited a lot of people. So I saw how he recruited and built his organization, and I learned a lot from him. But he was, like everything else in this business, you run into a lot of, interesting type of people. And he did his stuff, and I realized, man, I cannot stay in this business with this guy, So I asked the guy that does my medical exams for my clients. I said, listen, I'm looking for a company that I could go work with. And is there any company in this industry that is that I could go work with, that the guy would not steal my money, that I don't have to worry about, I just want to go to work. I don't need to worry about somebody. I do my work and he's going to rip me off and stuff. And he said, listen, I have a company that I need to introduce you to. You know, I know this gentleman, and he gave me the guy's name. And so I went for the interview, and, you know, I sat down with him and showed me their company, their concept. And the company is called American Classic Agency. So I went and I sat down with them, and I joined that organization. And in that organization, they allowed me to also become my own entity and brand my company. And he taught me the importance of building an organization. And he said, listen, Douglas, you are a one-man army right now. You go out and you sell a lot, you do that. He said, but what happens if you get sick or you go on vacation? That means your business stops. And he said, I need to show you how to become your own and build your own business. And he taught me the power of building an organization and developing people and helping them grow. And, today I'm also a part owner of that agency as well, which is awesome, after so many years. So I have that company and mine as well. And I've been with them since, and I never look back.
So at some point, your production went to the level of qualifying for the MDRT. When and how did that happen?
So, one of the things about the MDRT is, unless a lot of agents don't hear about the MDRT, because when you're independent and you're on your own, you're working with different organizations, different insurance companies and financial institutions, unless you're part of like a New York Life, MetLife, the companies that push the MDRT, that talk about, you wouldn't really hear about MDRT. So I was writing, I was making six-figure income, then it went up and all that good stuff. Until one of my mentors asked me and said, hey, have you ever heard of the MDRT? And I said, no. And I looked it up. I was like, man, this makes sense. I want to be a part of that. So I signed up in 2012, and that was my fourth year becoming a MDRT qualifier. Applied, I got in, all that good stuff. And then the following year, I was a cut of the table, and then did that and continued to build and go from there.
Yeah, so that's really where I want to focus my questions with you. It's like, well, okay, so you probably qualified for the MDRT even before you knew it existed.
Right.
And there you are, you had enough production, you had enough of the right kinds of production, and now you applied and you were in. The next year, you're in court. Did something change in how you did your business to up that production, or was it a natural outgrowth of starting at the MDRT level?
Yeah, one of the great things about being a member of the MDRT is the relationship you build and the information and knowledge that you learn. And my thing is that you always got to keep learning and keep growing. If you want to be in the best of the best, you got to surround yourself with folks that are doing phenomenal stuff, right? So when I became a qualifier for the MDRT in 2012, I met a lot of great people that we're still good friends till today. And then the event that I went to, I actually volunteered, because my thing is, if you want to get the full effect of anything, become volunteer and learn. So I volunteered to be one of the folks ushering people around and all that good stuff. So I did that, got to meet great people, and then was able to be present in some of the workshops and listen and learn. And I learned from a lot of great speakers, and I'm like, wow, whatever I thought I knew, man, you don't know anything, right? So I found guys that were also independent, and I decided, you know what, let me collaborate with them on businesses. And because the best way you always learn is by collaborating with folks that are very successful. So you could, you split sales or whatever it is, but you get to learn from their knowledge and their experience. So I did that, and that took my business to the next level, especially talking to families about business owners, about personal insurance, executive bonus, premium finance, that I do a lot today as well. And it just took my business to the cut of the table production, and then continued from there.
Yeah, so it sounds like you picked some brains and you got some really good advice, that things that you're already producing, and most of the people that I work with are already at MDRT level. But you got some things that took you past that. Could you share a couple of things that come to mind that you went, whoa, this is good, that I gotta take this with me?
Yeah, from one event, it was a gentleman that said something about, how he grew from starting as a qualifier, and he immediately the following year he's a top of the table producer, and the things that he does and the letters that he sends letters out if he sees an article of a successful person, and he'll send them a very unique letter talking about, hey, I saw that you're in a unique type of business and I'm in a unique type of business. But whenever you have a time and you're available, I'd love to have coffee with you or have lunch. And I might have a couple of ideas that I could share with you that might, take your business to the next level. So that was like, wow, that's interesting. He said, just it doesn't cost you nothing. Just send out a letter every day, and you never know, somebody will respond. And I do that till today. I meet people on LinkedIn, and which is great that LinkedIn came out, so that's a great place to network and meet people. Just like you, I'm a big believer in getting to know someone.
Yeah, so these were cold letters that he would just write to someone and say, hey, you have a unique business, so do I, let's talk, and boom, they did it. That's great. Give me another. Yeah. Give us a couple more.
Man, there's so many. So others. So again, as I continue to be in the world and networking with folks, so there's another organization that I found out about through another MDRT member, a company called Money Tracks and Circle of Wealth. So he built a software system that allows you to present your product, whatever it is you're doing, especially in the insurance world, to make it very, very easy to communicate properly with your clients. It makes the conversation so easy and to talk to customers about everything. So I went to one of his events in Orlando, Florida, and that changed my business as well. Took it from cut of the table to top of the table quickly because of the amount of business that I was writing, the way clients are referring people to us, and it made life so easy in the financial world.
So what was magical about their First of all, repeat their names so somebody's.
So yeah, it's Circle of Wealth, and it's called Money Tracks. The Money Track. So there's the software is called Circle of Wealth, okay, and we use that today for when I meet with any client. If you watch any of my YouTube videos, I got a ton. I use that to kind of illustrate how I talk, especially if I'm explaining life insurance or whatever it is, or the world concept. Because one thing that I started doing with my practice that actually really took my practice to the next level is, instead of being the same type of producer that comes to you and says, hey, how much money you have? Bring it for me, let me invest it for you. Because that's mostly the conversation that most financial advisors do. I decided to step outside the box and tell my clients, what if I could help you find money in places that you're throwing money away unknowingly because you don't know you're doing it, and unnecessarily? I could help you fix it. Because one thing I've found in doing this business over 20 years, so many people throw money away, the way they pay their mortgage, because they've been fed the lies about your house is an investment. So they throw money away in their mortgage. They throw money in the way they contribute to a qualified retirement plan. And they throw money in the way they pay taxes. Taxes is a big chunk that takes money away from folks. The way they make major capital purchase, and even when they plan for their children's college. So what I do is find those losses, the money that they're thrown away. If I could find that, then we could redirect those dollars to help them save more for their financial future. So that's been very helpful for our business. And also, we also get families out of debt in less than 9 years using a proprietary software that we built to help them get rid of all their debt in less than 9 years, including their mortgage. so they could save more money for their financial future.
Wow, those are two good ones. You got another one that you got that made a difference?
So, I mean, one of the most important thing that I learned is you need to be open to learning and open to collaborating with people that are more successful than you and learning from it. Because first of all, a successful person, yeah, they want to teach you stuff, but they don't have time. And I realized that quickly. If I'm going to go talk to a guy that is cash flowing, making $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million a year in this business, well, the only way that I'm going to get his attention, I need to bring him a very successful client so I could learn everything he got. So I bring a client and I say, listen, I got this client that I want you to help me work with, and I'll give you an example of that. So there was a big producer at one of the insurance companies that I do business with. And me and the guy we've met before, we met at one of the, incentive trips. And we just talked. I know this guy he's very successful. So I said, listen, I got an opportunity to speak in front of a big group, a large group of African churches. And I know I could do it myself, but I wanted to see what he does and learn from him. And I said, listen, do you mind coming and presenting? And the pastor is actually allowing me to do this on a Sunday right after during service, and he wants me to do it 2 Sundays, so I'm going to need you for that. Can you come out? He said sure, and he sent me an agreement. We signed it and we agreed on the deal, and we went out and we wrote up, we did about $70,000 in business in a few days.
Wow. That's
great. Yeah,
that really propels you upward. So it took you a year to get to court. How long did it take you to get from court to top of the table?
This is the African part of me, right? I didn't want to spend the money basically to.
So you could have qualified along. So how long until you had the level of production that would have got you into top of the table?
I've always produced on a top level, by cash flow. So I've been in the business now going over 20 years. I became a qualified for the MDRT in 2012. I've already surpassed the income, for that. But like, I did just see myself. I'm like, you know what? For whatever reason, this year I say, you know what? The reason I went to top of the table this year was because one of my reps, 2 of the guys that I trained and taught, they became top of the table and they published that stuff on Facebook. I'm like, there's no, I need to just go ahead and. So that was just because I saw 2 guys that I trained and I taught them a lot about the business. They're doing very well for themselves right now in the business. They're top of the table members and they publish that on Facebook. I'm like, hell no, let me just go ahead and upgrade myself and stop playing around.
But there was a point where you were making the amount of money you needed to get to court. And then there was a point where even though you didn't join top of the table, you made that amount of money. And so I'm looking for how quickly that happened.
Yeah, I'll say this. When I became cut of the table, I was making the top of the table money, right? So yes. I'll say that. But with my business and the way my business is structured as well, I do a lot of premium financing, so that gets your money on. Gets you on a very top because you're dealing with and it takes time. I deal with a lot of business owners, and I also deal with individuals. So one thing that helped my business a whole lot is the showing people how to become debt free. See, being in this industry, you meet with families. They want to save, they want to plan for their financial future, but they don't have any money. So how can I solve that issue for them? By our company, we built a software that, and we found an insurance company that allows us to tie our software together with their product. And we use that system to get families out of debt. So it changed the conversation. So instead of me coming to you now and saying, hey, can I help you save for retirement? Or can I help you plan your, get a long-term care policy, or whatever the conversation that I normally had in the past. Now I ask you a question. I'll say, are you 100% sure you're going to have a great retirement, or do you have some doubt? Well, everybody has some doubt, some type of doubt about retirement. So they'll say, yeah, I have some doubt. I said, listen, what if I could help you get out of debt in 9 years or less, including your mortgage and student loans, without you paying any additional money, that you're currently spending right now? Would that be a conversation you want to have? They're like, yes, I want to hear more. So that gets me in the door a lot faster than me asking you for retirement. And then when I come in the door, I go through a 7-step system that we've put together to help families get out of debt. Because a lot of folks talk about getting people out of debt, but the problem is they get them out of debt, but then they're broke at the end. Then you got to build, then they get back into it. So our system allows the clients to become debt-free, and they're building wealth at the same time because they're using cash value life insurance to the maximum level that we teach them to use it for. So, yeah.
That's great. Just listening to you, I can tell why you've had the success you've had. Where does most of the business come from? Is it referrals? Is it presentations? I know that obviously there's an arrangement with your 100 people who are writing with you, but even the question extends to them. Where does most of their business come from?
Yeah, so a lot of my business comes from referrals and social media. So here's, to talk about social media a little bit. I had to get rid of all my securities license because I just didn't want to be put in a box. So I'm strictly, doing the life and annuity deals or whatever. But I needed to speak up about the things that I'm learning. I couldn't keep it a secret to myself. So I need to share information, especially so many families don't understand the power of life insurance. So we talk a lot about that. Now, our agency, we also offer a lead program for our agents. We have mortgage protection leads, we have final expense. We also have the what we call the GOOD program, the Get Out of Debt program lead system that allows agents to be able to generate leads and talking to people that need our help when it comes to debt. And guess what? That's almost everybody in America has some type of debt that they're dealing with.
Sure.
So, and you're able to talk to friends. We do a lot of workshops at churches. They bring us into. I have a workshop coming up in a church on the 22nd of this month that I'm going to go and speak to the audience there. That's free lead because I don't have to pay for that. I don't do any dinner seminars or any of those things, and that's great for people that do it. But there's tons of ways you could generate business. And one thing I want to tell a new agent watching this, what you could do, the best thing to always do is you could do workshops at your clients' homes. So, for example, when I started, one of the things that I did a lot is when I close a client and offer them a product that they feel excited about and all that good stuff, instead of asking them to give me a referral, I say, listen, who else do you know that could benefit from this financial knowledge? And they say, man, we know a lot of people that can. I say, well, why don't we do a financial literacy workshop at your house? And I'll pay for the food. How much is you going to, we'll cater nice food for you. I'll pay for whatever it's going to cost to make it happen. And I'll come in and educate your family and friends about the importance of money and the things that you learn. And just have them over. The same way you invite people over for a football game, a basketball game, or whatever. Let's do the same for financial literacy workshop at your home. And guess what? You have 5 or 6 people there. That's 5 or 6 quality clients that you could go in and take care of and sell without you spending a whole bunch of money. You could spend $200. And if you don't have the money, find somebody else that do in the business with you, and you all split the sale 50-50. There's always a way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I asked you for a few ideas before. That one, if anybody's listening to this, that one can make all the difference in their business at all. because you do need to have a referral about a conversation about other people. Doesn't necessarily have to be give me a name and phone number, let me call them. And I know a lot of producers are not doing that. So let me ask you a different kind of question, Douglas. If you had it to do over again, would you do it differently than you did? And what would you do differently?
You know, I believe this, right? Every experience is a learning experience. So the way I started and the way everything has lined up until today, I've learned going forward and everything. You know, the only thing I would say is I wish I knew about, you know, when the first time somebody told me, actually the first time I got introduced to the financial service business was when I was in Canada. I was selling shoes at a shoe store, and this gentleman came and gave me his card and said, "You need to call me." You know, I said, "Sure." You know, I'm trying to sell shoes. He said, "You know, he said, man, you'll be good in this business." I'm like, "Okay, you need to buy this shoe."
And that's something every company teaches its branch managers to
Right.
do for recruiting. You know, I can't guarantee that you'll get a job, but I can guarantee you an interview.
Right.
So that's really good. You know, the best thing I could ask you for now is imagine that you're talking to someone who just qualified for the MDRT and he has his sights set on top of the table.
Yeah, I'll say, you know, at the end of the day is you need to just get more knowledge. The more knowledge you have, the more money you're going to make. You know, become a student of the business. You know, plug into all the resources that the MDRT provides, plug into all the training that you could get. If you're not satisfied with whichever company you're with and you don't feel, you know, at the end of the day, you need to find mentors. There's today's world, there's tons of people on YouTube that you could learn from, you know, lots of ideas, read books and stuff that will help you, especially books about the business. And knowledge is so important. You know, you got to keep learning. You can't stop. And you got to plug into trainings, you know, industry training. If there's one that you could go to, for sure, if your company's having, plug to the training. And look at successful people in whatever company you're with. Now, remember, successful people are very, very busy. They want to teach you stuff, but they don't have time because that's why they're successful. You know, but what you can do, the way you get their attention, you bring them a client. Trust me, you bring them a very successful client, a business, maybe one of your uncles or somebody, and split a sale with them. When you're there, you just keep quiet and learn. That's all you're there for. And learn, and they do what they need to do. And guess what? You win as well because you got the knowledge, and now you can now move on because you've learned that.
Terrific. Douglas, thank you so much for this. You know, I know there are going to be people who are hanging on your every word, and it's much appreciated.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having this as well. And I'll be at the event, the MDRT event is in June for sure.
All right, that's great. And I'm sure the people who get there are going to want to meet you after seeing this and hearing this. Much appreciated.
You sit on my top of the table, badge, and sitting in front too. That's another thing. You get to sit in front.
It's almost worth the fee, right? If you want to talk with me about your journey to the top of the table, contact me at sandyschussel.com/conversation. I'll see you at the top.